It's the Jake and Ben Show. 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 Oh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jake and Ben Show. I'm Jake, and I'm here with Ben. And, same old, I guess. We're just going to talk some movies and some stuff. We got the new Creed trailer. We're going to talk about the Glass teaser poster for a little bit. We have this whole Lucasfilm thing planned. So, Ben, as always, do you want to kick it off with with some Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? I think that's what we're going to start with.
Yes, that is what we are. We're going to jump right into it. So, we got some catch up to do, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is one of those. So let me start off with, it made $148 million opening weekend. It's on pace right now to come in for its second weekend, a little under $60 million, and it's already made $809 million worldwide. It opened up in foreign markets, I think 2 weeks before it came domestically, but you saw it, I saw it. I sent you a text after I seen it. I said, I just seen Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I sent you a picture. It was of Aquaman and Justice League, of him saying, I dig it. I'm just going to start it there. You said you have thoughts of, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I want to hear it, so I give you the teaser of I dug it. That's all I'm giving you until after I hear what you thought of it.
Okay. I wanted to talk about it because I'm just kind of mixed on how I felt about the movie. I think for the most part, I would give it a positive review. I'd say, I like it. It's just very bizarre because there's some parts that are so damn good, and there's some other stuff that's some of the dumbest, worst stuff I've seen in big blockbusters in maybe forever. So I don't know if I want to just delve into spoiling the movie right now.
Well, how about this? Let's start off. If you're somebody who hasn't seen it, you're wondering what the hell is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I've never heard of a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. So this movie sequel to Jurassic World, and they sell it to you of this island from Jurassic World, the first one, of we got to go back to this island because there's a volcano and we got to go save these dinosaurs. That was their big push, I would say, for their marketing. So that is what you would think that's what the movie is about. Now, it takes other turns halfway through, like a lot of big blockbuster movies do. Now, that's the movie that they sell you. I think you could give a minute of non-spoilers. I can give a minute of non-spoilers, and then we can talk spoilers.
Okay, yeah, let's do, we'll do spoiler-free for a bit, and then we'll spoil a bit, and then maybe we could talk more about the box office if you have specific things you want to say. I'm not sure I have too much to say about it, other than it's not that surprising how much money it made just based off of, the Jurassic World success and whatnot, and people love their dinosaurs. But, let's not spoil it for a bit. Just, if you haven't seen the movie, I think definitely managing your expectations is important, because the stuff that does really work in this movie is what you've been told in the marketing. It is the island stuff, and this movie takes a bizarre turn near the middle and closer to the end. It becomes something new to Jurassic Park movies, and some people might dig it, me not so much. We'll get into specifics later, but also I didn't see most of the trailers for this movie beforehand, but I do know, watching them after the fact, they spoil a lot of the movie. A lot of the final shots of the movie are in a lot of the trailers, and it is very misleading, because a lot of those shots are actually just set up for the next movie, and then it's selling it to you as if you're going to see it in this movie. Jeff Goldblum is barely in it. I know he's in the marketing a little bit, but that's pretty much all he is in the movie. You pretty much get all his lines. But besides that, there are some great moments in this movie. There's a lot of callbacks to other Jurassic Park movies, but just on their own merit, there's some great moments. There's a lot of horror elements, the way they use the light and the dark works really well. That's and there's some big fun action moments. I mean, like the volcano thing, that whole sequence is great. It's really exhilarating and really tense stuff. I'm finding it hard to say. It's easier for me to say the bad things about it, but that shouldn't take away with. I do think it's worth the price of admission, and you should see it. It's just like the good stuff is so surface level good, where it's like it's fun and exciting, so like that's all you're gonna get. But like there's no characters really. People will tell you that this one kid, I guess he's a kid, who with like this really feminine loud scream is annoying. I've heard so much shit about him, and I actually didn't mind him at all. So there's a plus.
See, I would say I'd be one of those people.
I'm curious what you think.
I'm one of the people who thought, get rid of that guy. He was so useless in the film.
Yeah.
All he did was just scream.
See, like,
that's all he was there for, is just to scream. And he was there for comic relief, but he wasn't funny at all. I think there was one funny bit, and it was towards the end that he had, and it wasn't even like that funny. It was just, okay, you finally kind of got
his screams weren't necessarily funny, but they didn't like irritate me like everyone I've talked to or everyone I've heard has said that he irritated them, like including yourself. So yeah, no, I didn't mind him. Honestly, they're like all the characters are non-existent. They're just there to have things happen to them. They don't really have much more to them than that. So, it's like surface level entertainment. It's fun, it's exciting, and you should see it. But,
yeah, if you want me to take it from there, I would say
let's do it.
For a blockbuster movie, I think this is it. It's not trying to be smart. I mean, maybe some pieces it tries to be, but it's not trying to.
Yes, I want to get back to that. Yeah,
to,
go ahead though.
Be something special. And I'm sure the people who made it thought, yeah, let's do something special. Now, if you heard me talk about when I'd seen Jurassic World, I watched it through a lens of that it was going to be hard for me to enjoy it. I was just watching it through. Colin Trevorrow directed this, and he was, supposed to direct episode 9. Now he's not, J.J. Abrams. So I kind of watched it as like, okay, what would he have done with an episode 9? Since I didn't have that in my head, J.A. Bayona directed this, and Colin Trevorrow wrote this with, let me get this guy's name up, Derek Conley. So that's the guy he co-writes stuff with now. I don't want to start off with this because it's like a review, but I'll start off with this. I enjoyed the movie, but when I had thought afterwards, oh, these guys were going to write episode 9, and from all accounts, one of the things why they're not writing it now and Colin's not directing is because the script was bad. Now, the script, it's not good. However, I think there is enjoyable beats. I think the island is that stuff mostly great. If that was the movie, I think it could have, been potentially a really good movie. I think this one is good to fun. Now, I don't think the mansion stuff bothered me maybe as much as it did you. There's a lot of stupid things that happen. I just brushed them away just because I'm like, all right, this is a popcorn flick. I'll just roll with the punches. And I'll say, Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt, I didn't think they had much to do in Jurassic World. Now, they don't have much more to do in here, but they feel more like characters. And Bryce Dallas Howard has much more to do. I thought she was just there in the first one. She didn't really have much to do or much personality to her. So I thought those two were really working for me. That guy, get him out of there. The one you mentioned that's just there to scream. He's just a waste of time. Just a waste of time. And what they do with the dinosaurs, I like, especially with the island. There's one scene in the middle of it, without going into spoilers, but I was in an audience with a bunch of kids, and when this scene happened, all you could hear is the kids crying. And it was a really good, effective scene. I thought it was great. And
yeah, for sure.
That's when it starts to get off the rails, is when we leave the island, we go to this mansion, and I don't think this would be much of a spoiler because some of this stuff was in the marketing. You spend time within this mansion, and I think some of this was teased in Jurassic World, but like what these dinosaurs could be used for. Could they be used to, weaponize, military? And you explore a bit more of that. Now, there's one guy in here. Let me get up his character name. This is another guy who you could get rid of. It's this Eli Mills guy, who would, I guess, essentially be the villain of the movie. He's over the top. He's way over the top. He's really goofy, especially when
Wait, which one is that? Is that the
he
auctioneer?
is.
Or
No,
is that...
no, auctioneer guy. Also, he's really goofy. No, this is the guy who. Yeah,
like the main villain.
Yeah,
Like, okay.
I think he's really over the top once we get into the second half of the movie, especially when he does what he does, and it's so just brushed over, and it's.
I think.
But to me, like I look at that and I think, okay, this like it's over the top, but it's kind of funny. I'll roll with the punches. I dug it as a whole. It's not gonna change the way you look at movies, but I thought it was fun. It was fun. There's a lot of weak elements to it, a lot of weak writing to it, especially when it comes to the twist. Now, I told you God. I'm not one, like I haven't seen the original Jurassic Park movies, but like I know of them. To me, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I don't think this connects in any type of canon, but I don't even know if it could have, but wouldn't that have been kind of cool? Like, if you're going to give us that twist, then at least try to make it part of canon. Now, of, like, previous movies, I don't know if it was. I tried to look up stuff, and it said it wasn't.
It's not in previous movies.
Then why did we go there?
It's very bizarre. And once we get into spoilers, we'll talk some very bizarre things about it. Even, like, you haven't seen the other Jurassic Park movies, so you know that, like, or maybe you don't know that this new old man character is not in any of the other
to me, when I seen him, I was like, wait, was he in one of the other ones? And then after I look up and no,
he's not, and it's weird. That was a strange retcon.
I feel like you could have I feel like this movie
fine.
You could have connected the and again, I haven't seen it, so maybe you can shed more light on it. But I feel like what they were trying to do, you could have connected the past a bit more.
You probably could have, but this felt like it was easy. Like this would be like the easiest way because it feels very lazy. Just like let's just make up this character. I don't know.
Say,
See, I kind of like that they're not direct. Like they didn't directly connect it. I think these new movies kind of work on their own, anyways. So it doesn't bother me too much. I just think it's bizarre.
I feel with these, at least for Jurassic World, and when I've seen this, it feels like it's just trying to follow the same beats. And when it comes into the whole like kind of turn in Jurassic World, it's somewhat of the same in here. When you're on the island and suddenly something happens to lead on to it, I feel like you could have done some more inventive new things. I don't know if some of those beats were followed in the other ones. Again, I haven't seen them, but it felt like some beats were very similar. Now, I would give this a positive review. If you're a fan of these Jurassic Park World movies, I'd say go see it. It's a good popcorn flick. Now, would you want to get into some spoiler talk?
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to mention in spoilers, but yeah, I would give it a positive review as well. And I even forgot the most positive thing about the movie. Blue is the best character in the movie. A little gimmicky or manipulative, just because like it's the cute animal kind of thing, but like it works nonetheless. But yeah, I'm down to go into some spoilers. There's something I really want to say to your popcorn flick thing. Maybe I'll do it before we get into spoilers. Okay, I'm just gonna go on a little spiel for a second before we spoil anything. So still spoiler free here. You mentioned that like it's a popcorn flick. It's just like shut your brain off kind of entertainment, and to that I'd say yeah, it is. But I also think it feels like it's clashing with itself. Like the director J.A. Bayona is trying to make a piece about animal abuse or animal rights, while at the same time the studio is wanting this exciting, crazy dinosaur eat ya movie. And I don't think the two mesh very well. Like there's a lot of stuff that's very depressing. Like the thing you mentioned with the kids crying, I'm sure I know what you're talking about. And it's like, it's something, if you're an animal lover, it's going to bother you, and it's meant to bother you. And this movie is kind of fighting with itself, where on one hand it's telling you, we have to save these animals, and they're very important. There's none left. These are the last of them. And on the other hand, it's telling you these are fucking crazy, murderous beasts, and you don't want to be near them. And it feels very conflicting.
Well, I would say to that point is, I get where you're coming from, where it's it's at one hand it's telling you it's a popcorn flick, but the other point J. Bayona is trying to deliver that stuff. I would say to the point of, these dinosaurs are just, beasts. To that, I think that plays also in the hand of the whole animal rights thing. It's that you get one side who's like, okay, animal rights, dinosaur rights, let them live. And you get the other side saying that these things are beasts and they will kill you without a thought. And they don't care if you care, about animal rights. They'll just eat you. So I think that part could play into it more, but they do go about it in a way of not trying to be smart about it.
Yeah, see, I kind of get what you're saying, because like even in the film itself, like you have Jeff Goldblum's character in quotes, and you have Bryce Dallas Howard's character, and of course they have conflicting viewpoints, and those conflicting viewpoints, I think, is in a meta way are ingrained into the movie's DNA. But they have a dinosaur like creep into a little girl's bedroom. And that is not like an animal thing where you can't defend the animals at that point. It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre how it is very like fun, shut your brain off stuff, and then it feels like it's trying to tell us something. But I don't think they two mesh very well at all. But yeah, whatever. I want to spoil some things because there's some specific things I'd like.
Now,
to
I'd say
talk
let's
about.
keep the spoiler stuff short. Just we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, for sure. This might be a juicy episode, but we'll keep this part short. Just a couple things. All right, here come spoilers. She's a clone is the dumbest
she's a
thing
clone. She is
ever. So dumb.
I like how it was delivered too. Like, you don't even know who she is. You know who she is? She's a clone. It was delivered in such a the guy. I'm not sure if he's. I don't know if he's a bad actor. If just that's how they wanted him to portray the character. It's just he went from being like, okay, he's just a guy, to so over the top. Especially when he kills that guy. It's just so nonchalant. He's like, no.
Oh my
I'm gonna have to
god.
kill you now, and I'm just gonna take this pill and I'm gonna put it over your head, and nothing ever happened.
You can be like a money hungry honey. You can be a money hungry fat cat douchebag and not have to kill someone. Like it felt like so out of left field. Like what the fuck
with movies
is
like
this?
these, I feel like you have to set up a villain that you want dead. You just want to see him die. Like, let's see a dinosaur eat this guy, and you just want to dislike him. And I feel it's just such an easy way to do it, to dislike this guy. And I'm going to, I'm coming for the money, and I'm going to kill you now that you know.
Yeah, that and the whole I'm a clone thing were like, oh my, like laughably stupid. Also, the very end when she's like, they're alive and so am I. But and she let him out. I'm like, but you just probably killed hundreds of people.
Which I think that moment, like within the moment of Bryce Dallas Howard, should I let them go or they're just gonna die? I think that's a good, somewhat powerful moment, especially if you stick with that decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you're for the animals, but at the same time, if you let them out, so a lot of bad things are gonna happen. But I get you got to set up a third movie, and all right.
Yeah, but come on, there could have been.
I gotta ask you, did you stay past the credits?
No, is there an end credit scene?
I stay past the credits. There's a scene that comes up, and it's these dinosaurs. They're in Vegas, but it's like 5 to 8 seconds. It's so quick, and I didn't think it was an end credit scene. I thought it was like, how like a company logo will come up, and like for J.J. Abrams, it's a bad robot. You see a quick little clip.
Yeah.
I thought it was something like that. Maybe somebody, whose company's just, you got dinosaurs. Then I read online it was an end credit scene, and it was so pointless and quick. It was something you could have added on to the end, but
weird.
It was just these dinosaurs that come in there in Vegas and over. And it was pointless.
Was it, how like at the end there's like the montage of like, there's that dinosaur in the ocean, and then there's the T-Rex or some other dinosaur with the lion. Was it like one of those like little clips like just at the end?
Kind of like it. Like it could have fit in with there, and that is what it is. But it was so weird to have as an end credit scene.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Like if you see it, it's so quick and so odd. And there were even people in there like, was that an end credit scene? Seriously? Like we stayed for that? Yeah.
Weird. I'm gonna look that up. Maybe that's on YouTube, a little 5-second video of it or something. But yeah, that ending is just like, oh my god, you just killed. I don't know. They could have just played it different. They could have just had like the kid like look at the dinosaurs and be like, oh, they're cute. Let them out, and then be like, oh fuck, what did I do? Or like, and then like they yell at her like, oh, what are you fucking doing? And then because all these people are gonna die because she's alive. Like, come on now. Yeah, the opening of the movie, I forgot to mention that. The opening, like, before the title comes up is quite good. I loved that opening. It was so good. Yeah, it was amazing. But
I gotta ask you, what was your favorite death?
Like the T-Rex behind them?
Because my favorite death goes to, I forget the guy's name, but I haven't seen him in anything since the first Fast and Furious movie. He played the cop that was, close with Paul Walker. And that's the last time I seen him. And now he's in here. He's the guy who, he goes into that cage at the very end to like that new dinosaur. He goes to, I don't know, kill it or something, and then the dinosaur kills him. That was my favorite death. I love that death.
Wait, was that when the dinosaur was like pretending to be knocked out? Oh, it was, and then like the dinosaur was like winking at the audience, kind of thing.
Yeah, that
was weird.
I gotta say, I love that death. It was a nice one. It was a good death.
It's also like the dinosaur is like a newly formed dinosaur that has an understanding of how like the sedatives work for them. I don't know. It was weird. I liked it. It was just kind of goofy, but the whole movie is kind of goofy, I guess. So I like when the auctioneer dude tries to get in the elevator.
Yeah, well, yeah, it plays
and
off to
the doors
that same,
open.
like kind of sequence going on. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I like that. I think like that little raptor they made, the genetically modified one, is cool. Like it looks
it's
cool,
but it also goes it goes
it.
into what I think would be. And maybe it's not lazy writing. Maybe they thought when they're like, oh, this is great. But it just comes across lazy as that is like your climactic battle and you wait until the last like 30 minutes to set it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I gotta ask you a question.
I get that.
Again, with not seeing the other one. So this Dr. Wu guy, I know him as Hugo Strange from Gotham. He was in the original movies, the scientist who, creates these dinosaurs. So.
Yeah.
You remember in the first Deadpool when, Vanessa wakes up and she's like, yo, what are you doing? And like, this is at the point when he has cancer. And he says, I had a bad dream of, so it was something to the effect of, Liam Neeson, how he was with Liam Neeson's daughter. And then, the whole bit of Taken, of, him killing all the people for his daughter. I just butchered that bit, but I don't remember word for word, but I think it makes me think of this, like this doctor or a scientist. I mean, he's been in all these movies. The scientist. At what point do you just think that he's just a bad scientist that he can't get his work done? Like that's like the bit from Deadpool of. Yeah. At what point do you say Liam Neeson is a bad father?
Oh right. Yes. Now I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, from Deadpool. I remember that part. Yeah, I'd butcher it too if I tried.
Like, at what point do you just say, like, this doctor, the scientist, he's just a terrible scientist. He doesn't know what he's doing. Just give it up.
Yeah, see, I don't know, because, like, he's bad in this one.
But is he, though?
He wasn't.
Because, like,
he comes off as
to me,
evil.
He came off more evil in Jurassic World than this one. To me, it was like, oh, I'm a guy trying to do my work, and these guys, are fucking making me do this shit.
Really?
That's what it seemed like.
No, I thought he was trying to be. I don't know. He's a bizarre character. I thought he was like being part of the bad dudes.
Well, yeah, I would say he's definitely more a part of the bad dudes. But to me, it seemed more like he's hired to do this job, and if he doesn't do it, he's fucked.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is. This movie's weird.
Yeah, because it's conflicting. Because the first half of it, I think, is like a really good film. Then the other half is just dumb fun.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I think the first half is good, and just this weird like idea of it just being like shut your brain off entertainment is just very bizarre to me. But anyways, we've already said we said everything. I think we should. We're like 25 minutes in.
So here's my question to you. Are you a fan of... see, I can't ask you the question. I forget what... Split. Are you a fan of Split?
I am a huge fan.
Are you a fan of Unbreakable?
Yes, I love Unbreakable.
When you watch Split,
Probably my two favorite
when,
Shyamalan movies.
you know, the ending happens, I'm sure you were pretty excited, right?
I was put off
Okay.
at first,
Now,
but I think I've come around
So-
for sure now.
Shyamalan is doing a movie called Glass, and it is a sequel to those two movies. You excited? Comes out January of 2019.
I'm so excited.
Well,
I follow M Night on Twitter, and he's always posting about it, and I love it.
So-
I love.
have you
him.
seen the
Alright,
teaser
keep going.
poster?
I
do
sure
you think?
have. I think it's great, and you know, I wanted to talk about this today because I just wanted an excuse to talk about Glass. I'm so excited for Glass, and I think it's an excellent poster. It's like this Glass movie. It's a bizarre kind of blending of like horror and superhero kind of universes, you know, because like Split was a horror movie, but they're doing this like they're bringing in Unbreakable. It's got this like superhero vibe to it, and I think the poster reflects that very well. It's got, you know, I'm not looking at it now, but what I remember, you know, it has them all half their bodies or whatnot at
Yeah.
the top, and then the reflection of who they actually are. It's very creepy, and it's very like superhero-y, you know, like their alternate personalities. And I think M Night is back. I think The Visit was meh, but like Split is a return to form. Give him minimal money, and he's gonna make an excellent movie. And seeing what he says about Glass on Twitter gets me really fired up. This teaser poster helps that for sure, and I'm so excited. How about
I am
you?
excited. I think this is a beautiful poster. A lot of posters these days are just, there's some really good ones out there, but
It's just like someone's
yeah,
face.
usually.
usually.
I feel like they've lost the originality in posters. I think this one's really good, especially, you know, you capture, you know, who they, you know, appear to be and who they really are in this poster, and the use of color. I think it's really good. I liked Unbreakable. I wasn't one of the people who loved it, but I really like Split. I'm excited for this January 2019. I'm looking forward to it, and I believe Glass is going to have a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, so one might
Yes,
think a trailer.
I remember he tweeted that Glass is going to be there. Yeah, and because M Night said that they're going to be there and with a surprise
so I gotta
or
assume
something like that.
trailer.
Yeah, I assume so too. Especially because like usually they release a trailer or teaser around the time shortly after.
My
the
question
poster.
would be for this film of
So-
what you are thinking now. Bruce Willis, in, you know, I don't know, the past decade hasn't really showed up in any of his movies. He's just been Bruce Willis. The last movie I can recall that he actually showed
Right.
up for would be Looper. I think Ryan Johnson got a good performance out of him. Do you think this is going to be Bruce Willis, or do you think M. Night's going to bring out a good performance from Bruce Willis?
I think M Night's going to bring out a good performance because you know they have that pass together with you know Unbreakable and whatnot, and I think this being a franchise that Bruce Willis is familiar with, he might have that
Well,
drive
see,
and that passion.
this is what I would ask then. A franchise he's been familiar with is Die Hard. Now, I forget the fourth one, what the title was. I personally liked the film, but I can say it wasn't a John McClane, it was Bruce Willis. And then you have, I believe, Good Day to Die Hard was the fifth one. Atrocious
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Just terrible.
Well, I
And
think
that's a franchise he's familiar with. Now, I'm more on the side of I think M. Night will get a good performance out of him. But to that, you know, what do you think?
I think M. Night has that passion there, and I'm sure it's infectious, and I'm sure they have a good relationship where this, maybe Die Hard 5 was more of a cash grab, where this feels like they're making this, like M. Night has wanted to make this for a while. There's a lot of passion and drive there. I think that's the difference. It's funny, as we've been talking about this whole thing, I can't get Death Wish out of my head.
Well, yeah, that was a
And-
movie that I recall you hated. Yeah.
Hated. And it's haunting me.
So yeah, you get how was Bruce Willis in there? Was he just Bruce Willis or?
He was
Yeah.
Bruce Willis, and he was playing a nurse or a doctor or someone in the medical field, and it was pathetic. But, I mean, like, come on. Death Wish?
Hey, you know what? I just thought of something here, and I don't know if you've seen this. You know, we were talking about a poster. Have you seen the first image for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? It was released at
No.
yeah.
I'm going to Google
it's
it
a
right
picture
now.
of DiCaprio and Brad Pitt and in costume. I think it just made me think that it's very good. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the what the hell is his name again? Why am I blanking here? Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino?
That was
Wait, oh yeah, Brad Pitt and Leo,
Yeah,
just like
they just
Brad
posted
Pitt
it
and
up.
all his denim. Brad Pitt looks
the makeup looks really good.
yeah, it looks sweet.
You know what? I want to
Fuck.
quickly mention something because we haven't
Leo.
talked about that in a hot minute. The cast, it's a humongous cast. Let me pull up the cast here. They added so many more people once we last talked.
Let's do it.
If you just want to quickly talk while I look this up.
Okay,
Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I'm so excited for this movie. I just googled Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that photo came up real quick.
Yeah,
And
so look at
there's
this.
other
We have
photos here.
Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Dakota Fanning, Al Pacino, James Marsden, Kurt Russell, Timothy Ulipat. I probably butchered his last name, but I know the guy. We have Damian Lewis, Burt Reynolds, and Tim Roth. Is Luke Perry here. Scoot McNairy.
Yeah, so some. Oh yeah. Oh, I love it.
Zoe Bell. And it's a huge cast.
It's
a big
a
ensemble.
lot of returning
Yeah.
Tarantino collaborators, and then some.
Is
new ones.
this the-
don't
I
know
believe
how
this
much
is
screen
the,
time a lot of them are gonna have.
Is this the first time Pacino's worked with Quentin?
Yeah, I think it is. I can't recall. I haven't seen Death Proof. It's the only Tarantino movie I have not seen, and I can't recall seeing Al Pacino in any of them.
I gotta say,
so-
Pacino is another guy like Bruce, where it's just Pacino now, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope we get a good performance out of him. And it also makes me think of, I'll just quickly shout this out, is The Irishman, what Martin Scorsese's doing, Netflix film, and they're gonna use like the de-aging tech for Al Pacino, De Niro, and Pesci. And it makes me think. I believe that's the first time Pesci's working with Scorsese, also. So I
No.
believe it is
Pesci
No,
with
not
Scorsese.
Pacino,
He's in
Pacino.
Raging Bull.
Pacino, not Pesci.
Oh, hey, I was gonna
Pesci's
say he's also
been,
in
in a
Goodfellas.
few. Pacino.
Yeah, Pacino. Yeah,
So, yeah, I believe
you
so.
may be right.
Maybe someone can fact check me. I believe it's his first time Pacino.
What's with everyone wanting Al Pacino?
Hey,
all of a
Pacino
sudden?
is a great actor in his state. Amazing, fantastic. He's got some good stuff out there. But I just shout that out. Do you have anything else you want to say about Glass before we move on to something else?
No, I think that's all. Let's move.
We're gonna go on to
move
Creed 2
here.
trailer. Dropped. There's a poster that came out, but let's talk about the trailer now. When we did an episode of our most anticipated, this made my list. I know you weren't that excited for it because Ryan Coogler wasn't coming back. Director Stephen Caple Jr., script by Stallone and somebody else. But you see this trailer. I want to ask, because I'm somebody who I love the Rocky franchise. I believe you haven't seen any of the Rocky movies except for Creed.
That's
Now,
correct. Just Creed.
you watch this trailer. I want to say if you haven't seen them, you can get what's going on. But if you've seen them, you know more about what's going on. How did you...
Yeah, I know there's definitely things in the trailer where there are references to Rocky movies. Like it's obvious that I have not seen, and maybe I'll watch them. I know I have to eventually. But as a non-Rocky fan, I still think this trailer looks great. I still think the first Creed is great. So this looks like more of the same, not in a bad way at all. Who's the director
Stephen
again?
Caple Jr. And from what I heard, he went to film school with Coogler.
Oh, has he done anything else?
He's done other stuff, but I don't think... nothing I know, but I think it's stuff that, people... deep in, from what I've heard. Let me look this up. Stephen Caple Jr.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't heard of him. I was my excitement was lower because the lack of Ryan Coogler, like you said. But I'm curious to see if I know of anything he's
So a movie he directed, The Land, came out in 2016. He's directed 2 episodes of Grownish, directed a TV miniseries, Rapture.
Okay, so he's pretty
Different
much
Tree, which was a short. Yeah, so he's a up-and-coming director. And one thing I would say to that,
all right. Which is
with
exciting.
Coogler, I didn't know much about Coogler before Creed. I know he did Fruitvale Station. But, it was a movie like Creed that really got his name out there and ultimately, I think, got him Black Panther. I think this could be the case for Stephen Caple Jr., where, he's done a movie, but nobody really knows him, and he can make his name with this.
Yeah, I think even like having Fruitvale Station going into Creed got me excited.
Well, it's definitely
for that
yeah
one
big
more,
because
just
the
because
you know, yeah.
the Michael B. Jordan thing too was huge. That collaboration, but no, I think this movie looks good. I love the use of Kendrick in the trailer. I thought that was awesome. Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if you're into music.
I'm into music, not so much new music, but I know Kendrick.
Okay. Something that's like bizarre that I noticed. This is such a small thing, but it was weird. Like the drone shots and dolly shots in this were weirdly shaky.
Yeah, there were some.
Not complaining. Did
Yeah.
you notice that too? It was weird because like it shows like the city, like the classic like cliche introducing the city shot, and it was like wibbly wobbly. It doesn't bother me. I dig that kind of stuff, but that was just a bizarre thing in a movie like this. But yeah, I think Michael B. Jordan looks great. Stallone looks great. What is
Tessa Thompson?
What is Tessa Thompson? That's it. You said it right before I said it, you bastard. Tessa Thompson, great. She's in it very little, but I loved her character in the first one, and
Yeah.
I think that's all. But you could probably go into more about the Rocky stuff because, like, I know there's Drago or whatever.
And okay, so
heard before, but yeah, go ahead.
When this movie, not when it was announced, more what the story was going to be. There's going to be Ivan Drago's son. Ivan Drago's coming back. There's two ways you can look at it, and with some of the shout-outs in the first Creed of Apollo Creed, and what happened. There's two ways this can go because Rocky 3, 4, 5 were, and I'm going to take 5 out. Let's not talk about 5. Rocky 3 and 4. I really liked the movies, but they were definitely a product of their time. They were really goofy 80s movies, as where the first one's a classic. The second one, to me, is my favorite Rocky movie. To me, that would be a classic, but it switches tone in 3 and 4.
Wow.
And to me, I love the tone. I love those movies. To me, the most rewatchable Rocky film would probably be 4. And Ivan Drago, like, he says nothing in the film other than, if he dies, he dies. I must break you. And he just doesn't say anything, but he's such a presence that, you just, when you see this guy, he's going to do some bad shit. So, and even Dolph Lundgren, to that effect, I think he's a good actor. So he's not just like he's, a guy that you just put in there just because he's big. I think he's a good actor. Now, there's two ways I looked at it. Now, we're either going to the goofy Rocky 4 that just, it's not, I don't think would be as, well received in today's time. Or the stuff you can really dig into, because this is, they talk about Apollo Creed, and Creed, obviously, Adonis's dad, and how he died. If you bring in Ivan Drago, and if he's got a son, I got to assume there's some juicy stuff within there. Now, I watched this trailer. I think it's great. And I don't think you can, it's just the first trailer, but you don't feel the absence of Ryan Coogler. And from the first shot, I think that first shot is from, and how the other Rocky movies opened up was how, the previous one ended. I think that's what's going on in here with the opening shot, that is, because in the opening shot, he goes down. I think that's from the first Creed. There's later on a shot you see when he's getting, he gets hit. I think that one is from the Drago fight, because I look at the gloves. The gloves that Tony Bellew, who, that's his real-name professional boxer, I forget his name in the movie, he was wearing, I believe, black with white stripe gloves. In this, you get the white glove with blue and red stripe, I want to say. So I got to think that's from the Drago fight. And even going from, like, the history of Rocky, in Rocky 3, he's talking to Mick about fighting Clubber Lang, and Mick's like, you can't, like, you don't want to fight this guy. You don't want to do it. The rest of you guys you fought after Creed were handpicked. You're not going to win this. The guy's just, he's too much for you. And then and even going into Rocky 4, Apollo meets with Rocky, Paulie, Adrian. He's saying, I'm thinking about fighting this guy, and, I want to get back in there. And they're saying, I don't think you should do this. It's not going to go well. But ultimately, convinces them, let's do this. They do it. He's dead. So I like the aspect of Adonis going to Rocky saying, like, you don't think I can win? And Rocky's saying, like, yeah, I was in your shoes once, pretty much, that look. And I think it's awesome. You see more of I forget his name, but I know him from The Wire. The Adonis is in the movie. I think it's like his cousin. He goes to him in the like first act of the movie. He wants to train with him, but he's saying, "You ain't cut out for this." You see more of him, and you see a quick shot of Ivan in there just at the weigh-in. But I'm excited for this. I'm really excited. It comes out this November. I hope it's great. I think the trailer looks great. Stallone looks great. You know, it looks great. I want to see more Tessa Thompson. I think she was great in the first movie, and I would like to see more of it explored. Yeah, like what is it? What is it to Adonis when he sees the guy who killed his father? Is he just, okay, yeah, he killed my father? I don't think you would just be over that, even though it's, boxing. It's still... Because the thing with that, like, there's ways you can go into it with Adonis where he, like, Ivan Drago, it's not like, first of all, he kills his dad, but after he kills him, he says if he dies, he dies. What do I care? That's gotta bring out some juicy stuff in there, especially with the son. They got also another professional boxer. I doubt he'll have much lines, but he's huge and he's definitely looks intimidating. So I'm excited. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff you said there, I have no clue what it means. A lot of because I've never seen these Rocky movies, but I'm sure to someone out there, it carries some weight. But
all right,
we've been going. We're over 40 minutes now, and
we haven't even hit what we want to talk about today, and we're gonna go into it. When I wrote this down, it's gonna be a Star Wars discussion, but like I'm gonna label it as like a Lucasfilm discussion because there was a lot of stuff that happened within the recent weeks. A lot of rumors, let's say. Now, do you want me to just talk about some stuff and then we can just discuss? Would you want to go that route, or do you want me to go rumor by rumor?
Talk about some stuff, then we'll discuss.
Well,
it's probably
Lucasfilm. Let me just start off with something that's not Star Wars. Lucasfilm, though. So, Indiana Jones 5. I'm going to talk about this real quick, though. But they got a new writer in there. They had like 3 writers, and the last one was David Cope. He's written some Spielberg stuff.
Sure.
So they hired John Kasdan now, who co-wrote Solo with his father, Larry Kasdan, who also wrote the first indie movie with George. Now, I think I like to see that. I think John, will do a good job. A lot of the things within Solo I really liked from hearing John talk came from John. Now, the thing with that, it was supposed to come out in 2019 and then it was pushed to July of 2020. Now they were supposed to film in April of 2019. Now that's going to be pushed a few months to maybe a year. There wasn't specifics if this is going to be a page 1 rewrite or a polish. So, and Steven Spielberg, he's really busy. Now, the thing I just find interesting is Harrison Ford is getting older. By the time 2020, I think he's going to be like 78. So this movie's got to come out sometime soon. And I'm excited for this movie if it happens, because even Spielberg's saying he wants to send Harrison Ford out on a high note, on a low note, like with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I just wanted to mention that real quick. Do you have anything to say?
No, I haven't actually heard anything about Indiana Jones for a while, but I don't really have much to say on that. I hope it happens, because I think another Indiana Jones movie would be exciting, and I'd be interested to see it, especially because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the last thing we've seen of it, and you can definitely go up from there, and I think that'd be nice for Harrison Ford. But I guess if I had one thing to say, the John Kasdan, Jonathan his name,
Kasdan,
right? Yeah, I'm gonna call him John because we're close friends. John Kasdan doesn't excite me too much. I was just thinking about Solo last night, and look, of course, like the problems, they're not all his fault. I don't even know what's his fault, what was in his script and what wasn't. But all I know is Solo is just wallpaper, and anything to do with it does not excite me in the least. So just knowing someone who worked on Solo pretty closely is also attached to this new movie, that doesn't get me too
what
happy.
If, like, let's say it's announced Larry comes in to also co-write this, and you hear, Larry's in there, who's also co-writer to Solo, and even though you didn't like it, he was also co-writer on Empire, Return of the Jedi, and the first indie movie. Would that still be like, oh, but he was attached to Solo, so why would I care?
No, I think that I would still be excited just because he does have a proven track record. It's also hard with screenwriters because you never know what is them and what changed during the production, or what did the studio do?
Well,
it's
you know
very
what?
hard to tell.
I think here would be a good point to turn into this Lucasfilm, Star Wars rumors that came out, because it plays into a bit of it. If I can just get this up while I talk. Sorry if you hear the typing.
Yeah.
So
that's fine. I googled something earlier and typed. So.
What came out let's say like maybe a few weeks ago was there was a story. And let's start off with a lot of the stuff is rumors, whether there's smoke, where there's fire, whatever. And I don't mean just whatever, just there's a lot of stuff to get into. So there's a rumor that comes out that the Star Wars story movies were put on the back burner, some of it having to do with Solo, but they just put them on the back burner, reevaluate things, and go from there. And that their focus is on Episode 9 and the next trilogy. That was the original. I'm not even going to say it was a report. It was just a rumor. When you heard that, what were you thinking?
When I heard that, I did hear it like where the source I heard it from did express that this is just a rumor.
And yeah, and even within that
so
story, I don't want to cut you off there, but even with the story, when it came out, a lot of people saying, oh, these are canceled. With them, when they reported this is just what they've been told as of now, and anything can change because somebody could walk into the door, pitch a movie, and there we go.
Sorry, I'm just yawning. It's also relevant because I don't care about the Star Wars spin-off movies really. So when I heard it, I was kind of excited because I think Star Wars thrives in its episodic movies, not so much its spin-offs. So I wasn't upset. I was just kind of slightly excited, but I did know that it was just a rumor, and it turns out that it's not true.
Well,
I'm sure you'll want to say
there's a lot of stuff to go into that. Now, when I first heard that, I liked Rogue One, and even if you've heard us talk, I even like Solo. But obviously, the bread and butter is with the trilogy. Hearing this, I was kind of conflicted because hearing that, I'll save that for our next piece, is I really wanted this Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. And I feel with even the Star Wars fandom being divided, one of the things of the hardcore fan base that has been like a common thread is mostly a lot of people have wanted to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan in a standalone film. I really want to see that. There was also this rumored Boba Fett movie from James Mangold. I could care less. There was also more of it being a bounty hunter tale than more of a Boba Fett movie. But the bread and butter is with the trilogies. So if that's your focus, let's go for it. However, I was slightly disappointed if we're not getting an Obi-Wan movie. It doesn't say we're not going to get it, but that was a bit of the story. Within that same day, there was also some other stuff that had come out. Now I can say this source, the first source was Collider. Now this one would be Star Wars News Net. Now if you don't know who they are and you just hear that title, you can just think, wow, that is a ridiculous title. It's wherever you get the news from there is ridiculous. However, I've got a lot of my Star Wars stuff from there. It's for since 2015, and a lot of the stuff is reputable. They do good reporting, let's say. And within that day, more stuff had come out. And they were just pinpointing a lot of the stuff they had heard, which were a lot of the stuff Collider heard. And they heard some other stuff, which would play into this Solo, movie. Last week I finished with, a lot of people are saying Disney's trying to ruin Star Wars. I disagree with that. I think they have a stake in the game. Nobody wants it to do better than Disney. With this story, it might sound like I contradict what I said. I still feel that same way. However, I feel like Bob Iger, his hubris got to him with Solo, thinking that, okay, Force Awakens made $2 billion, Rogue One $1 billion, Last Jedi $1 billion. No matter what, this movie will do fine. Within this report, whether this is fake news or real, I will read this to you. So, yeah. Okay. So, and in these bullet points is that in light of director change and having nearly to reshoot the entire movie, Lucasfilm wanted to move Solo, a Star Wars story, to December of 2018, but Disney had enough of their previous films delayed and put their foot down. Our sources tell us that Disney granted Lucasfilm the budget and time to make all the production changes they needed to fix anything broken with Solo, and that they had to make the film for the May 25th release date. Goes on to say, in addition to this, Disney told Lucasfilm that they would not let Solo interfere with their plans for Avengers Infinity War, meaning Solo would not get any preferential treatment in marketing to make up for lost time due to its reshoots that lasted into fall of 2017. Disney is now in new territory, having bought up so many different companies, franchises, that they're quite literally competing with themselves to an extent. Now, hearing that, I think goes into Bob Iger, thinking it's Star Wars, it'll do fine. I personally think marketing had a big deal to it, because usually movies market, a year out to, 10 months, 9 months out. This movie marketed for not even a full 3 months. And, I think that's hard to do, especially with a movie like Solo. Now you got to convince people Alden Ehrenreich is Solo, yet you don't really show much. Now, at the same point, I can understand Disney's point when, listen, we got Infinity War coming out. We got to focus on that movie. I understand the business behind that, but then Solo could have been a big movie. So what do you do? Do you move it to December? And, what's a bigger hey, maybe Mary Poppins would have made more than Solo, but I feel like you got to put more into Solo than you do Mary Poppins. With that, it could all be rumors, fake news, but let's say that's true. What do you think of that?
It's interesting, actually. I don't know really a solution for it. I think a December release could have helped.
I don't know how much, but I think it would have definitely helped.
It's
more than how it ended up.
I think it's a fascinating story, though, where they're in this predicament where they have this movie that they have to completely reshoot, and they only have 3 months or whatever to market it, and Disney's not really cutting them a lot of slack. It's interesting. I don't know. I think Solo was definitely a cursed movie, because it just had everything wrong with it. I think the idea that Disney is competing with itself is interesting. They're just super corporation now. They
especially
own
with them being in the bid to acquire Fox's assets, which to shout that out, Comcast came in, they made a bid after Warner Brothers and AT&T, that deal went through, got government approval, which, to note, I believe this one got saying if you guys agree on this will happen. Now the board of directors will be meeting July 10th, I believe, to to agree for what deal they want to go with. So it's not, people ran with saying, oh, it's confirmed, they agreed on a deal. They haven't. Roger Ailes wants to make the deal with Disney from, or is it Roger? I believe it's Roger Ailes. Wants to make the deal with Disney, but at the same point, it's up to the board of directors, which will be meeting on July 10th. Disney's board of directors and Fox's all have to agree on this, and if they agree, and there they go. Now, Disney came out and I believe Comcast bid was around, I think, 60 billion, and with cash, Disney came out and said, hey, we'll give you 71 point something billion in cash and stock, and which is a far bigger deal from the original one they gave. I think that was 50 billion in stock. So I got to think the Fox and Disney deal will happen, but to go on to them competing with themselves, it's I would say that is a interesting topic and very real at the same point.
Yeah, it's also a great position to be in, where competing with yourself.
Exactly. If you're competing with yourself, and Infinity War made $2 billion, and your other product didn't make it, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. No, of course. Disney's just wild.
All right.
So, any other Lucasfilm?
Oh, there's a lot. There was a lot. So within the whole, let's focus on our next trilogy. Presumably that would be Rian Johnson's trilogy. Now, from all reports, that is, full steam ahead. And let me, because that is such a big conversation also. Now, let me just flip my book here because I had a lot written down. So a few days after that, ABC does a report, which is Disney-owned company, that, everything's, we're good at Lucasfilm. We have multiple movies, in development aside from the already announced movie. So the thing I would say to also the rumored report that came out about Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, Star Wars stories, Lucasfilm has not, they've only announced what they've announced is going ahead. So for people to say, oh, they've canceled the Obi-Wan, they never announced an Obi-Wan movie. Even if it was in development, they never announced it. The reason why they didn't announce it, if, hey, we're going to put this on a back burner, we don't want to announce this and then, not announce it, do the Warner Brothers thing at, the past 3 Comic-Cons. So right. What they've announced was the Ryan trilogy, the Game of Thrones showrunners, series of movies, and Jon Favreau's live-action TV series, and Dave Filoni is doing another animated series. That is what has been announced. So all that stuff's moving ahead. So this report came out, Lucasfilm, they said, hey, we got multiple movies in development aside from what's already announced. That right there isn't saying, hey, the report's not true, that a Star Wars story, those movies are on a back burner. That can still be true. So you hear that? Does that have anything you want to, anything you want to say to that?
Yeah, I feel like I assume it is maybe the Obi-Wan or the Boba Fett movies. I get what you're saying, like they don't want to announce it and then have to push it aside or whatever. Like the DC reference is very, very accurate. But I can't help but think it's got to be what it is. I mean, they do like to retread their already established story or characters or whatever. So I can't help but think it's something we already know of. But you just listed off all the new original stuff they have coming in, and I'm excited. I'm excited for all of it for the most part. I don't really watch any animated Star Wars, but I know that I hear it's quite good, and I think eventually I will probably watch it. But yeah, that's probably just my 2 cents.
To that also, everything that has been announced is, original ideas, whether even the Jon Favreau TV series taking place after Return of the Jedi, it's still going to be new characters, and there's still a period that can be explored. Ryan's trilogy, and I feel like some people have, forgot about when this was announced, what was said about it, because I don't, like, people have been saying, oh, well, what about new Star Wars stuff, new characters, new, that's what Ryan said he's doing. He said, hey, let's go into another part of the galaxy, whole new, nothing we know. This is all new. Let's go from there, which makes me excited for Ryan's trilogy, and why I'm excited to hear that, hey, the focus is going to be now on these movies instead of the Star Wars stories. To me, I'll be bummed out I don't get this Obi-Wan movie, but hey, if that means I'm getting Ryan's trilogy sooner and the Game of Thrones guys movie sooner, you know what? Okay.
Yeah. See, I'm definitely excited for these Ryan Johnson films, because I think he would totally be the guy to tread in new water. If you've seen The Last Jedi, you know it's out with the old, in with the new, and I think these kind of films will be perfect for Ryan Johnson. I don't care if we don't get an Obi-Wan movie. I think a lot of Star Wars right now is kind of, or maybe it has been, riding off of nostalgia, which I think is super powerful. And I think it works very well for the most part. I mean, that's kind of what The Force Awakens banked on, and it did it really well. But I think as, we've gotten 4 Star Wars movies now in like the past few years, it's time that we start moving on.
Well, yeah.
And we can create some new stories for future generations to get nostalgic about.
Yeah, so. And I'll go on to, there's a few other things, and I'll shoot this one up there. Now, this one was people built it as a rumor, but then it was also just like an idea somebody floated out, and I'll float it to you. Is that so? Disney has a streaming service coming out, which is where the live-action TV show is going to be. Now, with that, what it said, Bob Iger wants to own the streaming service. Everybody's got a streaming service out there. DC's got one coming out this fall. You got Netflix, and Disney wants to be the streaming service. So already, if you have a live-action Star Wars TV show, that's going to get a lot of people to get this subscription. What if a Obi-Wan standalone movie or a Boba Fett Bounty Hunter movie were to find its home on this streaming service? Because, hey, maybe not a lot of people, maybe it does like solo numbers. Let's say the worst thing is it does solo numbers in a theatrical run. But I feel if you put that on a streaming service, you're going to get a lot more eyes on that than you would maybe theatrically.
It's interesting. I don't know if you would get more eyes on it because, it's a streaming service people still have to, pay and sign up for. But it's definitely an interesting idea. I think because, like I say, I think streaming TV and film is the future. And to put one of those on a streaming service would be bold, but I think it's where it's heading. And I'd be down for something like that, just as an experiment, just see how it goes.
Scale down a budget, get a story that's worth telling, put it on there. Yeah,
that'd be cool, yeah.
I feel there, that could...
I think that'd work well for Boba Fett, scaled down bounty hunter
I
kind
think
of thing.
If you want to just get away from the whole Star Wars story movies and theatrically, I think it could be a very good place, and it will do very good for the streaming service. I feel a lot more people are going to get a Disney streaming service for a Star Wars movie than an Adam Sandler movie on Netflix.
Was that a segue?
That was not a
segue.
Okay. I guess I'll say, before we were recording, I told you that I had watched one of the worst movies I'd seen this year on Netflix, and it was an Adam Sandler movie called The Week Of. The reason why I heard of the movie was because of the Howard Stern show. A guy on there, Ronnie, the limo driver, got a cameo on that, and there was a whole big deal that he left work early to go do that cameo. So, yeah, it was a terrible movie. I had Adam Sandler in my mind because of that. That's why I give him the shout out. So, another thing...
Love Adam Sandler, hate his movie.
Another thing, within Star Wars is Kathleen Kennedy. There's been a lot of people, fire Kathleen Kennedy, get rid of her. I'm not one of those people. I think... there's things within how she's run things that I think she could do better, but I'm not one of the people who say, just fire her. I think there's lessons to be learned. I don't think she's going to be with Lucasfilm in the next 5 years. I believe she's in her 70s, maybe late 60s. I'm sure she's going to want to look for a successor.
Really?
And one of the things people are saying, it's going to be Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige within Star Wars, sure. That would be fantastic, but I think people are forgetting that he's running Marvel right now. If you were to take on Star Wars and have the MCU, that's a bit too much. Something's going to lose out because he can't give his attention to both products. So something came out today saying it's fake news. It's not happening, which I just think a lot of it's been made out. People are saying fire her, and people think ultimately that's she's going to get fired because of that. Whether she was on some hot water because of Solo. Maybe we're not in Lucasfilm, so we can't. A lot of people are running with certain stories like that, but nobody can confirm we're not there. So, I guess I'll take this in a position of Star Wars. How the way Lucasfilm is being run. What are some of the things you like or dislike? And I'll start off with one of my criticisms of how everything has been run so far. I will say I'm a big fan of the sequel trilogy. I love the movies, however. One of the things that you can tell, and personally, it hasn't bothered me yet, but you can tell, and ultimately this goes into how it's been run, is that I think Kathleen Kennedy, great producer, and some of the aspects of how she does it, I think a lot of studios could learn from this, of you hire on, and hey, you can easily contradict this if you want to. You can't contradict it, but there's things that you can, smack in my face over it. Is the way she runs, how she got JJ, hey, she hires JJ. JJ tells his story. Here it is. Go tell your story. Ryan, here it is. Go tell your story. Colin at the time. Here it is. Go tell your story. Now JJ, and ultimately to Rogue One and Solo to that extent. The thing with Solo, why you can say, but she fired the directors. The thing with that's different. You also do have to tread some waters, and whether you felt this way about it or not, you can't go entirely different to the character because it's in a time of how we know how he ends up. Now, where I go with that also is that when Lucasfilm has also said, hey, this is how we ran the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, but the difference with that is you had George. The original trilogy is still George wrote them all, and that is his story. Prequels, that is all him. You don't have one person pioneering this sequel trilogy, which I feel ultimately you would have gotten more if there's one person writing this through, and there's people saying, Ryan just threw it what JJ did. That's not what happened. He got hired. Kathleen Kennedy said, go tell your story. There was sure, JJ had ideas where he wanted to take it, but he wasn't hired on to pioneer the story. So the thing with Ryan, I love what he did. I don't think he threw it with JJ. He did what he was hired to do. Now, why I am excited for the Ryan trilogy, why I'm excited for the Game of Thrones guys, and why ultimately maybe this is her kind of course correction of how to run this thing, is that Ryan, it's going to be his trilogy, whether he directs them all. He said, I'm going to direct the first one, maybe I won't direct the second and third, but I'm writing all of this. I'm mapping out the trilogy. There you go. Game of Thrones guys, they're writing and producing these movies, so ultimately they're going to have a through line. As these other movies, it's just go tell your story, go tell your story, go tell your story. If they connect, they connect. If they don't, they don't. And you also come out and say, hey, everything is going to be canon. It's all going to be connected. Books are going to connect to movies. Movies are going to connect to video games. But you don't have a Kevin Feige saying, all right, you can make your movie, but we have to follow this, this, and that. It's ultimately where I feel Kathleen Kennedy has lacked in her leadership. I still think, hey, keep the job, but you can learn from things. How do you feel about the way, Lucasfilm has been running Star Wars?
I think I agree completely with you. I think there's definitely no direction to where they're going, or where they have been going, about these movies. You can tell JJ set things up in The Force Awakens that he had plans to pay off that Rian Johnson didn't think were that important. And you could tell that it's two different minds, which I think works. I'm not complaining about it, but I think as a franchise and for someone overseeing it, I think there should be maybe well, I don't know.
Not to cut you off, because I did talk a lot, but saying. I feel if you're running a studio and it's not a franchise, it's a good way to make your stories. But if you're running a franchise, I feel you're not running it to have legs.
Yeah. I totally get that, and I think that's probably, but see, it's hard for me because typically, you would think you would have this vision for all of it together, like Kevin Feige has, and you have to hit these beats to make it all connect. That makes sense, but like, I almost feel hypocritical though if I complain about it, because I think it's worked well for the most part. I like having different visions for these movies, where Marvel movies, they all feel like you can tell they're governed by one individual and they're all connected, and I think that works for Marvel because it feels episodic, it feels like a TV series, and it works so well. And I kind of like that Star Wars is just having individuals telling a story that matters to them, and it doesn't feel like it has to hit certain beats and it has to follow these notes. I like it. So if I were to say I think Kathleen Kennedy is doing a poor job there, I'd feel like a hypocrite. But I totally understand I totally get what you're saying, and I almost agree with you. I kind of do agree with you in principle, but just not in practice. So I don't know. I don't know. I think if they're going to change it up, and if Kathleen Kennedy is going to learn from this and become more of a Kevin Feige and link these movies more, I'm not going to hate it. I think ultimately it's probably the right business move. I think there'll be more sustainability to these films in the long run. And but I like how we get a J.J. Abrams film and a Rian Johnson film, and you can feel it. I don't know.
Again, I would definitely be a hypocrite if I would say, because I've liked the way it's gone. I've liked the 4 movies, some more than others. I loved The Force Awakens. I loved The Last Jedi. Really like Rogue One, and I really like aspects of Solo. And the way I would look at it is, I don't think it should be run like a Marvel, like a TV series, but at the same point, Lucasfilm has a story group, a group of people that were hired to make sure everything connects, and these filmmakers go to them and say, hey, could I do this with this work? I feel they need to have more of a voice within the making of these films, because hearing Solo and how the whole Darth Maul thing came about is that Jonathan Kasdan, who was a big canon junkie, loved Star Wars. When he wrote that as Darth Maul, but it wasn't concrete. He knew he wanted to be Darth Maul, but nobody else. Like they were like, we'll see what happens when we get there. And when we got there, ultimately it was Darth Maul. But there's not the one person like a Kevin Feige saying, hey, that's you got your movie, but hey, you may need to put this here so that can connect and so that could connect to this. And whether it's big or small, I feel they're missing that. And they have this story group there. You hired them, let them do their job more. And I'm not in Lucasfilm, so I don't know to what aspect goes on. And again, going to how Kathleen Kennedy, when she hires these people, says, "Go make your movie." To me, I think it's great that she's saying that, because you get people in other studios that have too much oversight and are just looking over someone's shoulder and they can't tell their story. So I feel Kathleen Kennedy, if there's one change that could maybe, or Kathleen Kennedy's a great producer, keep her as a producer, but maybe have the story group have more of a voice. But I would like to see Dave Filoni have more of a voice within Lucasfilm aside from animation, because it's the guy that George Lucas groomed when George was still running Lucasfilm, and the guy who knows Star Wars, I would say, next to George would be Dave Filoni. So whether he directs a movie, doesn't have to, but like, let's see him have some position within there. I would like to see, but I wouldn't want it to be like Marvel, where every movie after the other connects. Maybe you could do, like, 5 years from now, you could do a arc of like 8-10 movies and they all connect and then go back to your trilogy. I think there's things to do, but ultimately I like to see where it's going with Ryan spearheading his trilogy, the Game of Thrones guys spearheading their series of movies. I like to see that. And I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
For what's been confirmed, what are you most excited to see? And I'll ask you another question, is that we have episode 9. It's coming out December of 2019. In 2020, we don't have anything there that's, scheduled that we know of. Rumors were to be at, Obi-Wan. That looks like that's not happening. Rian Johnson pitched this, almost a year ago now. And he got hired. He's been writing maybe 5 months, 4 months. How far do you think he's in? Do you think we could see a first movie from Ryan in 2020, which, some reports, Ram Bergman, his producer, came out and said, hey, maybe we could, somebody asked him, how's writing going and when could we see it? He says, I can't really answer that, but maybe 2020, 2021. The Game of Thrones guys, I think it's unrealistic for their movies to come, first movie to come out in 2020, because they're, they haven't even started that we know of. They're, deep in Game of Thrones, the final season. They're in post-production. They probably have some type of reshoot. So they're booked out for the next year. So, what are you excited for and what do you think will come next?
All right, am I allowed to say episode 9 for what I'm excited for?
Well, okay, you can.
Okay,
you can, but more specifically, the TV series, Ryan, or Game of Thrones guys. But hey, if you're most excited for episode 9, tell me why.
Okay, I'm going to just tell you why I'm most excited for episode 9, but then I'm going to give you the answer that you're actually looking for. I think because episode 7 and 8 are so amazing, and that this whole episodic thing is already established, and I love the characters, and I love JJ, and he's back, and that's great. I'm very curious to see if he retcons a lot of Rian Johnson's decisions in The Last Jedi, or how he plays it. So it's fascinating in that regard, and I think it's going to be amazing. But if you're actually wanting to know, besides episode 9, what I'm most excited for, honestly, like, I'm really looking forward to Rian Johnson's movies, but I'm super curious to see a TV series, a live action TV series. So if I had to pick, I'm going to say the live action TV series just out of curiosity, I think. But and what was your other question? You had 2 questions.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you think we're going to have a gap year in 2020, or do you think something's coming out in 2020?
It's hard to tell. I almost,
because
like 2020 feels soon.
It's soon, yet far away. But at the same time, in a production standpoint, Ryan's got to be far within. Like, he said, he wants to map out his trilogy before he even goes, to shoot. But you would have to get into pre-production in the next few months and start shooting in the next 8 months. You'd have to, like, it's either he's way further ahead than he's let on, or there's going to be a gap year.
Yeah. I don't know. And maybe, what if episode, do you think the performance of episode 9 will affect it in any way? Like, You think if episode 9, say Ryan Johnson's ready to release it in 2020, episode 9 comes out and shits the bed, do they go, let's take a break for a year and do 2021, or let's push it off? Or does episode 9 have anything to do with it, you think? Just curious.
I don't. Okay, see, it depends on, like, there's two aspects to that. Well, more than that, but like, you have Disney, you have Lucasfilm. I feel Lucasfilm, I feel like they'd be okay to go ahead, but maybe Disney will say, hey, let's step back, let's reevaluate things, make sure we're doing the right thing. I feel because in that point, you would have already, let's say Ryan's already filming, you've got the script. Let's say he hands in a script and like, yo, Ryan, it's a fantastic script, you go shoot that thing. And he's shooting it and things are looking good. And let's say he's got a really good movie to great movie to maybe excellent movie. Episode 9 comes out and it shits the bed, but his movie's still ready to go. I feel they would be okay if they were confident in it, but then that would depend on how bad it would do. Like, are we talking like Attack of the Clones bad? Because even then, if we're talking Attack of the Clones bad, then I mean maybe. And then I think it also depends how the TV series does, because it lets, Solo, maybe it'll make 400 million worldwide. And if we're talking bad financially, then I think you would have a gap year. But I don't see I think even if this movie's bad, I don't see it being a financial, flop. Because I've heard, you hear people say, oh, well, if you look at the trajectory of how the films went, it's only been going down box office wise. But if you have a movie that makes $2 billion, you're going down. But you have a Rogue One that makes over $1 billion. I would say that overperformed. You have Last Jedi.
Yeah.
It still made a lot of money. It still made $1.3 billion. I mean, is that bad? Since when has $1 billion been bad?
No.
So you have one that came out that did bad. I don't see how episode 9 could be bad. I mean, box office wise, at least. But I mean, it's a good question.
Okay.
What do they do if it's if it is not a hit and it's not good? Do you go with the
I'm not
Ryan
sure,
trilogy, or you just hit the brakes? I think maybe you do take a gap year.
You know what? I kind of think a break is I think maybe a break's a good idea, because like episode 9 would be kind of like the end of a chapter, the end of an era, because it is a trilogy, right? And they usually they release Star Wars films in trilogies for different generations, right? So if you do have episode 9 come out and then you take a year or 2 years break, it makes sense, and I'm not against
that. I feel like, one second here, I'm getting I'll talk while I've got a text. I feel to that, I think regardless, you're getting at least 5 years to 6 years away from the regular trilogy. Because if you have these 3 movies, let's say you do Ryan, Game of Thrones guys, Ryan, Game of Thrones guys, Ryan, Game of Thrones guys, maybe you start a new trilogy, episodic, after that, and then you're 6 years away from episode 9. I feel episodically you're getting a break, but then another thing I'm curious about is how are they going to market the Ryan trilogy if it's not episodic and it's not a Star Wars story? He said it's going to be something different. What do you call it?
I don't know. I think it won't hurt them to go away from the Star Wars story.
Oh yeah,
I don't think it's a bad thing.
I think it's totally fine. I think it's not a good title. I don't think a Star Wars story is that good of a title.
I actually personally, I love a Star Wars story. I think it's great.
To me, I'm impartial. I don't think it's awful, but I don't think it's great. I just think it's a Star Wars story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
we're going long,
and we'll wrap up. I mean, there's a lot of people that
I'm gonna get some sushi.
I can never get into sushi. I had it once. Don't like it.
Yeah, really?
I don't like sushi. Don't like it. Maybe
Where'd you have your sushi? Where's your sushi from?
Well, see, here's the thing. I think I had sushi on one of my first vacations to Miami.
Okay. It totally depends where you get it, because I've had some gross sushi that's made me this is disgusting, and I've had some of the best sushi ever at other places.
Well,
depends where you get your
to me,
sushi.
just the concept of raw fish sounds nasty, but I get people like it.
Oh yeah, you could get like some rolls without raw fish.
I mean, if we're going rolls, just
right.
rice, just a rice roll with some stuff inside. Yeah, maybe I can do that.
Okay.
But yeah,
Anyways,
okay.
that's
Star Wars. There's a lot of people within here saying, Star Wars is doomed. Star Wars, it's in a dark place. I think we've been past the dark times, which were, the dark times for people were when there was no movies, when you just had this, Legends canon, and you have the Timothy Zahn, Thrawn trilogy of books. A lot of people love that. I'm not a big Legend. There's a lot of people out there that ask me, like, do you think just people are really upset that, they said, Legends is not canon? I think if Legends is not canon, you still got the books, you call them old EU, you get this new canon. We've been past the dark times. We've been past no movies. We've had the prequels. They stink. We get a Star Wars movie each year now. Okay, Solo wasn't that good, but I know film fans and the way films run, just people have short-term, they got dementia. We had The Force Awakens. I think a lot of people love that movie. I've talked to people that didn't like it, but more than not, most people loved it. Most people liked Rogue One.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're fine. We're doing okay. We're okay. We're fine.
Yeah. I think to say it's in the dark times is stupid.
I think Star Wars right now is in a point when, in the first Star Wars, when, they're breaking Princess Leia out, and, Han Solo, he's, talking on the intercom, he's saying, we're okay, we're fine, we're good here. That's where we're at. We're, dark, there's some bad things that could come, but we're fine. We're fine. Everything's going okay. I feel that's where we're at with Star Wars.
Yeah, agreed. That's an interesting analogy. I like that. We're good. We're all good.
That's where we're at. Like, a lot of people like to think it's doom and gloom. The world's falling down. You didn't like Solo?
That's because people suck.
If you didn't like Solo, if there's a Star Wars movie you liked, you have that. And, even have your own headcanon. If you didn't like what Solo did to Han, forget it exists. And, one thing I say to some people when I talk to them that they didn't like, the thing with Star Wars now, the reason why I can live with the prequels now is because I know those aren't the final films. I hated them more when I thought that's all we had. But to now know we have The Force Awakens. Okay, the prequels happen. Okay, the prequels happen. Last Jedi, the prequels happen. For people who didn't like Solo, at some point, Solo happened. Even if you didn't like The Last Jedi, Ryan's trilogy comes out, maybe it's the best thing since Empire. I personally think Last Jedi was that, but maybe even more so that is. And then you'll forget about The Last Jedi if you don't like it. So we're okay. We're fine. We got movies coming out. One's going to hit that everybody loves. There's going to be some that, people, don't like. When the MCU started, there's a lot of people saying comic book movies, they're dead, they're dying, they're gone. Oh my God, we had Batman and Robin. We had, Spider-Man 3, even in 2000. It's done. But what happens? Iron Man comes out. Okay, we like it. Incredible Hulk comes out. Okay, people forget about it. Then we have, Thor? Oh, wait, there's Captain... We're Avengers? Wait a minute, now we got 2 movies. Wait, now we got 3 movies, and it's fine. It'll be a point when the oil's moving, we're getting greased up, and we're just a machine, and, we can't stop. It's in a point when we're figuring out what's going on. It'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. That's a good... It's a good note to end it on, I think.
Yeah, you know what? We're good. Yeah.
We're just getting greased up. That's the lesson of this episode. We're just getting greased
That's
up,
what
baby.
It is.
Oiled up. I think you said oiled up.
We're getting the oils going. We're getting the grease. We're getting the gas pumping.
We're getting going. I think I completely agree with you. And, definitely not the dark times. We're just getting going.
And also a thing to today... And I'll shut up after this because I could talk for hours. I haven't really talked to much Star Wars. Like I said, I sit in my room and I talk Star Wars in my head. That's what I do. That's what goes on.
It's a good
I'm a
outlet,
crazy
then.
person. So
it's either this or drinking.
I got to get it out. So, people, the fandom is fucked up right now. If we're going to be honest, it's fucked up. You can see fucked up shit.
Every fandom is fucked up.
And we're in a time... And whether it's politics, whatever it is, people can't have a discussion these days. I was just on Facebook the other day, and I don't go on Facebook, but somebody made a post saying they had a belief of something that wasn't scientifically correct. And they said, hey, if you don't agree with me, unfriend me, because you know what, fuck you, and let's have a discussion. If I disagree, why does it gotta go to that point? If I disagree that I like Solo, I'm not saying, you're an idiot because you didn't get Solo or this, and it's not vice versa. It's we can just talk, we can disagree. And that's just who we are as people. Human beings suck. You know what? They can't talk to people. They have no social skills. We're fine. You can go on Twitter, find a segment of people that hate what you hate, and you're going to feel more empowered and say, everybody hates that. But you know what? It's not the case. There's billions of people on this earth. Most people don't give a shit what you think.
Well, it's an echo chamber thing where like you can surround yourself with people who will
Yeah.
agree with you, and then you become convinced that that is the truth and that is what everyone thinks. And then when you find someone who doesn't agree with you, it's like, oh my
What?
god, they're the
What?
fucking enemy. Burn them to the ground, right? I think that's just a problem with the internet and something that people need to overcome. But that's like that's a whole other topic.
But like I know it's like there's so many things. If you go on the internet or YouTube and you see some schmuck make a YouTube video of this is why Star Wars sucks. This is why Disney's ruining this. This is fandom. This and anything, whether it's even DC. Like I got this neighbor who is really obnoxious, but I grew up with the guy. We don't talk anymore, but obnoxious. And you go on Facebook and you write, "I'm going to make a YouTube video of why the new Star Wars sucks balls." But yet he loved The Force Awakens, like Rogue One.
Yeah,
It's
you see what I think it's important to do is
and
watch
let me. I will let
videos.
you talk, but when I say this, I'm not saying you suck because you dislike something. I'm saying the people who suck are the people who can't have conversations about disliking or liking.
Right. Yeah. I think that's an important distinguishing factor that I think it's good that you brought that up because I think you can make videos why the Last
totally
Jedi
fine.
sucks.
If you're breaking down of why it sucks.
And I watched one the other day. I watched this video on why it was like 20 minutes long of why the Last Jedi is awful, or I forget the actual title, but like I watched it because I think it's important that you do hear other people's viewpoints and not just like I didn't like dislike the video and leave a comment like your girlfriend's fat
Right,
and your mom's ugly. It was like this is just it's just interesting hearing other people's opinions regardless. But again, this applies to so many more things.
It applies
Star
to
Wars.
life, and I feel if you just want to say, yes, the hardcore Star Wars fandom, it's divided, but it's not. It's not the end of the world. It's with everything, politics.
Yeah.
If you look at like certain DC fans talking to Marvel fans, it's all there. It's everywhere. So I had a good discussion with a friend of mine a few weeks ago. We were talking about The Last Jedi again. We just got into it, but we were talking. He didn't like it. I did, and we were talking about Snoke's demise, and we got into it. He said, "Hey, I disliked it because I would have liked to have seen him be more of like, this presence." And I said, "Hey, like one of the reasons for me why that's one of my favorite Star Wars, sequences, scenes of all time is what it means to the characters going into it, and with Kylo Ren, ultimately what him killing Snoke means." We just had a movie in The Force Awakens of him killing his dad after his dad says, "Hey, when he is done with you, he's just using you. He's going to kill you." So ultimately, that moment of him, "Hey, I killed my father, and now what he told me is coming true," and to see how it all plays out is why I really love the moment and of Kylo saying, like, "Listen, forget about the Jedi, forget about the Sith, forget about the Snoke guy. Like, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna listen to anybody else. It's my life now." But we had this conversation and we talked about this, and ultimately he said, like, "Hey, I can get where you're coming from," and I can say, "Hey, I get where you're coming from also."
Yeah, I think most like one-on-one conversations you have with people outside of the internet, you should find that they react like that.
Like, I heard someone say this, and like the internet. Think of this like the dumbest person they have access to the internet. Think of the smartest person, they have access to the internet. Everybody has it, and the thing is, like, I was even listening to Eric Andre talk, and he was saying, like, he's on Instagram and he reads this comment. This guy's telling him how he sucks so much and how he hates the show, and he DMs the guy saying, "Yo, what's up?" And the guy says, "Hey, I was just kidding. I'm a big fan of you." And people just say this because they think nobody's gonna see it. Well, not always the case, but I mean, it's a lot of people. They'll talk shit, you call them out, and then can go other places. But yeah, I went on a big spiel. I'm done.
You went on. It's good. I think we've ended on a couple Ben spiels at the end of the past few episodes, and it's good. It's a good way to send it off. I get tired once we hit that hour mark. Jake's getting tired.
See, so for me, like when we hit the hour mark,
it's good to have a nice little Ben spiel to end it.
I'm getting greased up. The oils are going.
Maybe
the gas
just because my apartment's so fucking hot now.
Well, yeah, it's really hot, and if you don't have an air conditioning on a day like today, I feel very bad.
No, I don't have air conditioning. It's awful. It's so bad in here.
And I'm going to ask you a question before we get out of here, and I'll do it on here.
Okay.
So we've done 2 video reviews. We attempted 3, but we have 2 out. So Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out next week.
Yes, let's do a video review. I'm down.
And we'll talk more about that. I figured I'd put it on here. And
I live close to you now, so I can grab you, and we'll. I gotta buy my tickets, and
yeah. So you know what? We've went for over an hour. I'm gonna say, bye for now, or I'm just gonna keep talking. So I'm gonna shut my mic off, and I'm out of here, and I'll let you end this thing. You know, you can tell the good people where to find us.
All right.
I'm gonna talk for another 2 hours.
Well, we're at an hour and a half, and I think that's a solid length. We wanted to go for an hour, but I think we got carried away with Jurassic World. But it was a fun conversation. But you know, here we are ending it up. Ben hit you with some goodness at the end here. Maybe next week I'd be interested to. Maybe something comes up, talk more about that, because I think it's an important topic, and I don't think it would hurt to bring it up again. But Jake and Ben Show, Twitter, Facebook, you know, you can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. Yeah, you're definitely listening to us on one of those things. Otherwise, I don't know how you're listening to us. But if you could rate us on iTunes, that'd be awesome. And yeah, I think that's all. So we're gonna have some Ant-Man for you soon, and you know, we'll see you next week, hopefully. Alrighty, and bye for now. My fucking cat's laying on my mouse. I can't stop the recording. Here it is. Okay.